Hello everybody and welcome to qualifying for the 2023 Romy Prix. It's the second day and it's time for round 12 of the season to get underway. We had earlier on this morning all of the drama and the controversy involved as well with the massive accident we saw. Practice 3 this morning, everything went okay. Only Sasha Fenestraz never got involved. But now, hopefully, with the fingers crossed, we're going to be in for an interesting session. Good afternoon, everybody. Nick Cassidy, Mitch Evans, Jean-Eric Verne, Antonio Felix da Costa, Sam Bird, Stoffel Van Dorn, Sasha Fenestraz, Lucas de Grassi, Dan Tinctum, Sergio Sete Camara, and Robin Flines are first up on the board for this qualifying session. So, let's see what we're going to get then. Megan Burge will be joining us for the race later. Hopefully, Ed Hunter will be there as well. And as we see, Mitch Evans, the first driver to take maximum points since Jake Dennis in London in 2022. And is going absolutely fantastically forward on maximum attacks as our internet briefly drops out. But the green light goes on. We are underway here for all of the action from ABB Formula E. Yeah, and the Wi-Fi keeps dropping in and out, so that's a little bit alarming. To solve this, I'm going to remove the USB cable that isn't needed. Hopefully that'll solve the issue. But the green light is on. There's Nick Cassidy. He's on 171 points as well. 11 podiums and second now in the championship. The green light's on. Let's check in with the guys in the comms box.
Checkered flag taking over the championship lead from Jake Dennis coming into this weekend. Dennis had a 1-point advantage over the Kiwi after round 13 yesterday. It was 6 points to the good for Nick Cassidy. You can see the ball left corner.
Yeah, so it's all looking better out there. And the car's just circulating, as you can see, on the driver tracker up here in the comms box, as well as the informational boards to make everything A-OK. In fact, I don't even think I can turn off the live timing boards to make it work again. Cassidy just straight out there. No one wanting to disagree with the overall suspect of things, but nobody wanting to disagree as well. It's both the same factor. They don't want to have an uninterrupted session. They just want to be out there, be as clean as possible, be as quick as possible. Sector times on deltas are looking stronger as well, as our timing screen once again decides to disappear. Sam Bird coming back out on the track, which is brilliant to see. Bird then, who had that massive accident yesterday. Delighted to see that he is circulating out on the circuit and is back up into normal speeds. Hopefully, as well, we won't have the annoyance of the back half of the TV commentary coming through shortly as well for the race later like we did yesterday. But right now, it's all we can hear. A bit like in the practice sessions, I suppose. We'll just sort of make do with it as they come through once more. Last two corners, turns 16, 17, 18 and 19 as well. These sort of two sections of the track that mirror back to back with each other. And away we go then on the laps as once again our TV pictures go down. It's like, honestly, it's like trying to navigate working with equipment for the 1500s. It's just not wanting to work on the laptop. Really annoying as well that we can hear Alan McNish and Tom Brooks in the background, because that's not what we want to hear. We want to see the action out on the circuit and the cars being faster than what we expected. Verne's first sector time is a 24.994. Frines' first sector 24.966, looking better. Verne massively improving as he attacks full throttle past the monuments as well. Verne into 12 and 13. I hate this part of the track. It always tightens up so much. Second sector time, 32.938. Van Dorn's down a little bit on his delta. He's setting personals only. It's a 25.2 and a 34.4. So Van Dorn's 2 seconds off the pace of what Verne is doing. Into turn 15. A long sweeping exit now into the last two corners. What will Jean-Eric Verne achieve then? What's he going to do in this part of the session. Is he going to be faster? Is he going to be slower? What's the delta that he can bring himself to? Vern across the line. It's a 140.203. And now Van Dorn is going to be directly behind him as well. See if that changes anything. I don't think it will. No, Van Dorn, 148.3. He's 8 seconds off the pace. Van Dorn losing a lot of time as we lose, once again, TV pictures up here in the comms box. It's like it's trying to create dominance on itself and it just won't work. Everything just sort of losing out a few bits of delta. Sete Camera, 140.028 goes top. Vern, Degrassi, Frines, Van Dorn, Da Costa. At the moment, that's the 6 that have completed lap times. Everybody else on your timing tower, as you can see, haven't. And those greyed out haven't set the minimal time to go through to the duels. We're on board with Sam Bird now. Into the last 2 corners. Bird up to the line then. Can he do the time? He's done the crime. Let's see if he can do it. No. Yes! 139.718. Evans, 138.829. First rider this weekend into the 138s in quali. Cassidy flying by 0.3 of a second faster. Evans was a little bit quicker, 139.196, but Cassidy takes the top dollar bills so far in this session.
Points all with 8th place. That's only his 2nd points finish of the 2023 season so far. And he'll be looking to try and build on that, but with a full grid of 22 drivers expected to take to the field here this afternoon, it's going to be a bit of a hard task. Meanwhile, contrasting fortunes for Mahindra. They have had an absolute stinker of a weekend here. Software issues thwarting them on Friday. Quite clearly some issues under braking that we've seen both drivers locking up on several occasions and going off at turn 4 and turn 7.
Yeah, and they've had the car switch off on them, so they've been sitting at the side, control alt delete. Here's JP.
Yeah, FPK D-rate critical for half the lap.
Oh no.
Really affects the final sector.
Copy. Okay, we've got something we can do to fix that in the next run.
So Sam Bird's got problems once again with the energy problems. And now they are attacking harder and harder.
It's very sensitive round here because it is super hot anyway, and it's actually having to do a lot of work, especially from the race runs. And the management of it through a race is going to be important. But for Sam Bird, we have to remember, this is a complete new car. You know, the one that was for yesterday basically was for the bin. You could roll it up and stick it in the bin straight away. And so therefore, from the team's perspective, there's a lot of small adaptations that maybe have a big effect. And clearly they think that they've got a solution for it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if they have or not, because so far the team this weekend have been as bad as useful as anything. Evans dominated yesterday, but no one's taken the delta time today. Is that TweetDeck right? If somebody is that TweetDeck okay? Let me have a look at interacting with it. 2 hours ago. Guess what? Again, tweet limit. Isn't that brilliant? Well, I'll sort that later. This is on board with the out Cooper of Robin Frines coming into the braking zone. Oh, he hit the bumper turn 7 again. That 6 and 7 bump that caused all the mayhem yesterday still there. We never got anyone in it in practice this morning, but everyone is now just as worried about if we're going to see that big accident happen again in the race this afternoon. Cassidy in then, he's top of this session so far. So let's have a look. Hazel Southwell's just tweeted. Shout out to Hazel, who says, bad news for Nismo fans, our 23 car won't be able to make it for qualifying round, but we won't give up as working around the clock to get Sasha Fletcher's car back in the game. Don't worry, we still have 17 nominated. So it looks like Sasha Fletcher won't be in the race later on. But Hazel did say very tricky weekend for team. Sasha wasn't caught up in the massive collision yesterday, but there's a shortage of spare parts even before 5 cars have to be rebuilt. Fingers crossed Nismo, Nissan really, can get his car together for the race. They should be some leniency about not qualifying. Yeah, because he's not involved in the accident, was he? But the amount of spares, he's been negatively affected by the accident yesterday. So there should be some, just a little bit of leeway to let him continue on. As one board with Degrassi. Cars in the pit lane, it's a down to Tom.
Driver eye view for Lucas de Grassi. He stopped on track during free practice this morning, was able to get the car back up and running, get himself back into pit lane, but he was one of the unfortunate casualties in the race yesterday. DNF on the board for the former Formula E champion, and he'll be hoping for better fortunes here for round 14 later on this afternoon in the sweltering sunshine at Rome. So final preparations taking place in the DS Penske garage, and also on the right-hand side of the Jaguar Racing garage as well. This is Sam Bird, now looking at his view in the cockpit. The halo just in front. That was crucially important yesterday in that incident that we saw.
And there you see the data on the steering wheel that Sam has got available to him that tells him all the things from the state of charge, the amount of energy that's in the battery, the temperatures, the minimums, as well as you see some of the drivers already going out, and therefore that'll have a lap time predictor as well that gives him an understanding of where he is relative to his fastest lap, and that allows him to judge the risk, especially in that final sector.
Let's have a look here at Dan.
Oh, Tixon touched the wall.
The wall going through turn 3. Sorry, that's the final corner. Yeah, turn 3 it is, yeah, just before the start-finish line, and lucky to get away with that one.
Tictum, everybody is out apart from Sasha Fenestrez, who has not been out. He had a battery problem earlier on this morning. We should note that he was super quick yesterday, in fact quickest in his group section, and led the race at one point, and he's still stuck in the pits.
Well, Cassidy's the first.
Yeah, and as been heard earlier, just a few moments ago, Fenestrez will not be taking part in this session or any part of the group stage, so that is a massive disappointment nonetheless, but the racing will continue and the action looks a bit dramatic as they come through. Once again, they've all gone out together, so the problems that we're seeing in terms of pack racing and pack qualifying is still here. We're watching Cassidy, miles ahead of everybody else, by the way. Absolutely miles. I'd love to know how we've ended up 15 seconds behind again, considering I haven't noticed any desync issues, but once again, we're behind the times. So we'll catch up. Cassidy, Verne, Evans, Van Dorn at the moment, the top order. There we go. That's better. No idea how that happened. It just sort of like must have desynced and we didn't even notice it, like it slowed down like a fraction of a second. Cassidy across the line then, with 1 minute to go. This is his last run. Down towards turn 3. Verne, Evans, de Grassi, Freins, Sete Camera coming in as well, Da Costa. Then it's going to be Van Dorn. They're all running out at the moment. So this is their last glory runs on these compounds in Group A of the first part of qualifying. The top 4, remember, go through to the quarterfinals. The fastest from each group will face each other. So they come down. Cassidy's going to go late on the brakes. Got a yellow flag at turn 4. Who's off at 4? Well, it's either going to be Da Costa or Freins. It's one of the two. They've had a lock up and down at turn 4. That could hold the proceedings later. The checkered flag is out. The session is over. Cassidy's first sector was a 24.6. Evans was a 24.5. So Evans is looking quicker. 98,000's up for Cassidy at the moment. We've got Verne side-by-side picture open as well. Cassidy almost in the wall, coming out of 12 and 13. Down on the braking zones, into turn 14. Hugs the inside line, controls the rear. What does Verne do as well? Late on the brakes, no regen on power. Just got to go maximum attack. Picture breaking up, we can't quite see. Cassidy's having a little bit of a wiggle and a shake around, coming through. Into turn 16, 17, 18, 19. Fenestrez under investigation for qualifying procedure. We knew he wouldn't be part of it anyway. He'll get a leeway because he said he wasn't going to be in it. Across the line then comes Cassidy to take the checkered flag. It's a 1:38.547. He's 2/10 faster at the moment than anybody else. He's 5/10 faster than Verne. Evans across the line. Verne stays second. Evans goes second. He's moving with a 10th. That puts Verne and Van Dorn really at risk. Bird coming across. De Grassi goes fourth. Van Dorn's out at the moment. Bird's looking stronger. Bird is looking stronger at the moment. Sete Camera goes into 5th position. Bird's got the fastest middle sector time. Da Costa goes 3rd for Porsche. That kicks out to Grassi. Sete Camera's out 2. Vern's at risk. Van Dorn's out 2. He stays 7th. Bad news. Tictum goes 2nd. Neo through. Vern is out. Both Penske's out. Bird goes through. Evans just stays in. Bird, Cassidy, Tictum, Evans, the top 4. And out goes Da Costa, Vern, Da Grassi, Sete Camera, Van Dorn and Freins. But the big ones there, Da Costa not going through, Vern and Sete Camera were surprising. They went through it, and I thought Van Dorn might have a chance there, but no. So Bird, Cassidy, Tictum and Evans goes through from Group A of qualifying. Very surprising situation of facts there. We thought it would be a different change around. But Bird goes through. Let's hand over to the boys.
From Dan Tictum. I was so busy focusing on Sam Bird's efforts that I completely missed the brilliant lap. An absolutely fantastic performance from him. He'll be elated with that, making it through into the duels here this morning. And yesterday in the group...
Just want to say hi to Beth, who said about the massive start yesterday, the crash. Yeah, insane, Beth, wasn't it? Absolutely insanity to have that accident out there.
Very much equal to Sam Bird, who had the fastest middle sector of anybody. Very strong performance. But we've seen a lot of that really strong performances qualifying. The points, though, are a little bit more difficult to take for Neo, so they've got to take advantage when they can. One just comment. Fenestraz, he did not get out, so therefore he will start at the back. Obviously, a technical problem that stopped him from running earlier on in free practice has continued into qualifying.
Yeah, the team's focusing their efforts on Norman Natter. This is Robin Freins going off on the run up into turn 7. We've seen that so many times here this weekend with the drivers pushing the edge of adhesion. The Abt Cupra driver sadly not making it through into the duels. You can see there, just quite unlucky. In fact, I think that was a little bit earlier on in the lap, wasn't it? That was actually down into turn 4, yep. And was able to get the car spun round and back onto track. Did bring out the yellow flag, though, briefly, as a result. So the Abt Cupra team now watching on as our focus shifts over to the second group of drivers. These are the drivers, though, that make it through into the duel. Sam Bird, Nick Cassidy, Dan Tictum and Mitch Evans through into the quarterfinals. Sadly, we say goodbye to Felix da Costa, Vern, De Grassi, Sete Camera, Stoffel Van Dorn, Robin Freins and Sasha Fenestraz. Sadly not being able to set a time.
Yeah, just want to say quickly to Beth as well. Yeah, I've no idea what it is about Rome and the massive accidents, but it's always at turn 6 and 7, isn't it? It's always at this back half of the track, the same part, the same bump, always causing the issues. So I'm with you on this one as well, the fact that Rome needs to change. Right, Radzi.
So I'm here with Jaguar team principal James Barkley. Now, as far as things go, that is a pretty good start to the day.
Yeah, and particularly proud of Sam kind of being able to turn around after the big accident yesterday. His first proper competitive session really, and to go fast to the group. That's a real testament to him and the team and the work we've done to turn the car around.
Both cars into the qualifying duels, similar to yesterday. Massive now in terms of making this day work for you in terms of the championship, but also just to touch upon the work that went in behind the scenes. We heard it was a very late or even early morning for the team rebuilding Sam's car.
Yeah, obviously first things first, the group stage is one thing. Now we have the duels, so trying to get obviously our best finishing position is the next focus as part of quali. So very much quali's still a job to do. But yes, a huge effort last night. It was a bit of a war zone up and down the paddock here last night with a number of teams changing cars and having to build new cars. You normally want a week to do that back in the factory, so to do that overnight is a huge effort from everyone involved, and it's particularly pleasing and proud of the team when you not only turn around the car, get it back out, but it's quick.
We're looking forward to seeing what they can do in the duels.
Thanks a lot, thank you.
Thanks, James.
Well, 3 out of 4 cars being from Jaguar powertrains. We can see Dan Tictum behind us here, delivering the absolute goods right at the end there. But Nick Cassidy, first of all, we obviously heard about Sam Bird and Mitch Evans there. Nick Cassidy has turned things around in 24 hours.
Yeah, he has. Ollie mentioned earlier, he obviously had the opportunity to look at some data last night, obviously helped a bit, but I think the big thing is just getting a clear run. Looking at the qualifying, he had 2 clear runs there with good tyres, and I think that really made the difference for him. Both of our championship contenders are in, so I think all according to plan for both of them.
And in terms of Jaguar, amazing turnaround mentally for Sam Bird to do what he managed to do then.
Oh, very good job by him. And in motorsport, you have to have a very short memory because, the highs are high and the lows are low. And Sam Bird has experienced a tough time there yesterday with that incident, as we saw earlier. So great job by him to turn things around. And his job now today is to support Mitch Evans.
And Mitch Evans, it's the other side of that story. He was unbelievable yesterday, but he's still got the job done. He's crossed the threshold.
Yeah, he's been there with P4, probably just not a clear run. He'll hope to do a bit more now in the semi-finals and quarterfinals.
Absolutely, we can head back to now Group B.
Group B is underway then, and it has been for a few moments as well. Dennis, Verline, Gunther, Boemi, Hughes, Rast, NATO, Lotterer, Mortara, Muller and Merry are the drivers progressing forward. And Group B is going to be quite interesting. Now, yesterday, I've got my little notes up here in the next box as well that I write down. So yesterday's qualifying tracker is here. Information on all the drivers, everything that happened in the starting grid. I've got the same for today. I've also got a race tracker. So yesterday in qualifying from Group 1, obviously Fenestraz won't go through, but Bird went through. And looking at it as well, that's it. Because in the next half, in Group B, Evans went through. So that's Bird, Evans going through. Cassidy didn't make it through, and neither did Ticton. So that's 2 already from yesterday that have gone through on both days. Here's Hughes.
And scenario 8, we are push next lap, double push.
Double push for Hughes, so he's been told just to go for it straight away. Cars into the fast lane. We already knew with the situation out in the circuit that it was going to be a hard and fast session. Hughes with a 24.876 was the fastest first sector time. Scratch that. Boemi with a fastest sector time 24.779. Scratch that. Muller 24.752. Scratch that. NATO 24.652. So the track is getting quicker every single sector they go around. That is brilliant. Beth says exactly. Yes, on the YouTube chat. Exactly, Beth. I'm surprised. I really am surprised. That I think next year they'll smooth that part of the track out or modify it or something, because everyone's just going to hold their breath today and hope that nobody has another big accident there. But we already saw in the first part of qualifying Robin Frynes have a major moment there, so they've got to be careful. They don't want to lose any sort of danger to the track. As Boemi's first sector time has now been beaten again. Second sector time looking good though. It's a 32.454. He's remained that time quicker. Across the line then, Hughes has a 1:39.038. He's got the fastest time. Now Boemi will be next up just behind him. Muller again will be the next car. So across the line, Boemi 1:38.562. He's 4.5 tenths faster than Hughes. And I think Muller is going to tow an entire team around with him. Mortara's so slow on the lap times, actually, as well. Muller goes third. Mortara's going to go again. He's 12 seconds off the pace. Across the line there comes Merry. He goes third. Dennis should jump up in and dodge to third. No, that's NATO third. NATO going into third position. And Gunther goes third. Merry's out. Dennis is only improving on personal bests. Rast has got the second sector time with a 32.261. Hughes fastest first sector, 24.575. Lap time deleted, I believe, for Jake Hughes. I'm going to be... Yeah, Lotto's gone second. Hughes down to third. Here comes Dennis across the line then. Dennis goes fastest now, 1:33.376. But Hughes has lost a lot of time there. Rast across it. Goes third. Out goes Hughes. So Dennis, Boemi, Rast, Lotterer, the current top four. Then it's Hughes, Gunther, NATO, Merry, Muller, Mortara and Verline. Mortara, Verline... Well, actually, NATO, Merry, Muller, Mortara, Verline got to go again. Mortara's 12 seconds off. Verline's 16 seconds off. So they've done warm-up laps before a push. Now they're doing better. Hughes into the last corner, approaching the control line with 6:51 to go. Across the line, goes third. So it's a McLaren 3-4. Lotte has been pushed out of the session. We thought he might be. And now they've just got to start taking the time. As into the pit lane comes Cassidy. So into the pits, they're coming in after their first runs.
Push lap, because he is only going to have the opportunity to do that on the next run as he...
What about Muller? Muller's ninth at the moment across the line. He's going to continue on. Muller goes sixth. And Mortara goes seventh. And here comes Verline. Merry goes ninth. Verline. NATO eighth. Verline fourth. Kicks out Rast. That was a surprise.
On the other side of the garage, Max Günther with an absolutely astonishing performance, getting Maserati's first podium here in Rome really impressive job from him, and he was absolutely delighted, as were the whole team.
Yeah, they were. Roger Griffiths, team principal, on the left-hand side with Michael Andretti. I don't think his name needs to be sort of explained in the Andretti Formula E team. And as Michael there looking on, this is a big part of what they're pushing, because he's been one of the early investors in Formula E as the team coming through.
Sylvain Filippi for Envision watching on then. Sebastian Buemi second quickest in this session with just over 5 minutes now remaining, ready for the last runs to come in this Group B qualifying session here.
Yeah, and you saw Mike Ludd, who's the engineering sort of brain of the Envision team, to the right-hand side, who ex-Red Bull F1. And
oh, picture's broken again. What a surprise. Lost all sense of connectivity. In fact, it's completely disconnected. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're back now. 15 seconds behind the TV pictures once more. Some of these times, I really just wish it would work. I mean, it's Sunday morning. Who's on the internet on Sunday morning? Shouldn't be any need. Relax, have a lie-in. It's 10:04 a.m. That's where it is.
Very much involved, or was seemingly involved, in the title fight.
yeah, he was right in the middle of the title fight, but he had that win in Jakarta, and since then he's averaged 4.6 per race, and his main title contenders in the same time period have all been above 15 points per race.
There you go. Just goes to show how your tables can turn, as Hughes back into the Neon McLaren garage. New set of Hankook boots onto his car.
Verline in two.
For the final run. The only driver that's active out on track at the moment is Pascal Verline, but imagine that Germany's probably going to come in and do exactly the same strategy.
Yeah, he's into the pits now.
Final run. Inside the Avalanche Andretti garage, there is the special helmet in homage to Rome here this weekend for Jake Dennis. Dennis, penny for his thoughts at the moment, just lost the championship lead to Nick Cassidy yesterday, still very much within contention though, just 6 points drift, just in the black shirt there. That is the man whose team is doing so well, Michael Andretti. Great to see him here this weekend. He was actually in Portland a couple of weeks ago as well, bringing some much loved support and morale to that team in a very critical moment in their championship challenge.
Yeah. It's definitely coming down to the crunch time. We've got this race today and then the double header in London, and the winner takes all. And you know, as we said, there's 4 of the drivers in it, and there's 3 teams in the teams title. We can't forget about that as well. That's another battle that's really hotting up, and ultimately only one's going to win.
Well, this is the other Nissan of Norman Nato that is making it into qualifying. Problem for his teammate Sasha Fenestraz. Nato looking for a strong qualifying. 11th he was on the grid for race 1 here yesterday afternoon, the 13th round of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Drivers now back onto track, 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining of this session as we get ready for these final flying laps to come in. What's it like dealing with the pressure as a driver? You know you've got 1, maybe 2 opportunities to get these lap times in here, Alan.
Well, you've got basically 1 now. It's at this moment in time, you're basically doing the preparation of the tyre and the brakes before you go into the lap itself. The pressure is before the session starts. Now this is their office. This is what they're designed to do. They're born to do it. They've been practicing to do this in the simulator in advance of the race weekend. They've been doing all of these strategies to then get to this point, and now it's about delivery. You can practice all you want, but this is the time when you have to deliver. And that's why I think there's certain drivers that have got the mental power and strength to take their emotions out of it and just to then put it into delivery process.
Here we go then. So everyone's out on the track on their warm-up laps. They'll have around about 1 lap in total to make their time, with 1:38 to go. So yep, no one's across the control line yet. The first one will be Sebastian Buemi. He's second at the moment. Quick rundown then for everyone. Top 4 go through: Dennis, Buemi, Hughes and Verline. Out at the moment, Rast, Lotterer, Muller, Mortara, Nato, Gunther and Merry. I really hate that we can hear Alan and the team behind the audio for some reason this weekend. It's like they've changed their mics or something. Anyway, Buemi's on a lap. We don't hear them in the E-Prix though, so that's okay. We'll take it for now. and suffer the consequences going later as well from having nice clean audio for the E-Prix in a couple of hours' time. So this is the last group stage then of the session. Before we go into the quarterfinals, there'll be a 7-minute delay until that. So enjoy these runs. Bohemi's looking fast, but he's done a 24.713 first sector. Muller 24.739. So there's a delta time. But no one's improving. No one's going like mega fast. We've got a yellow. Turn 7. And is that car 5? Is that Jake Hughes? It is. Hughes has gone straight on. He's having to return it. And that's going to bring out the yellows. Oh, no. And that's blocked. Well, that's about the 51. So that has blocked Muller. Oh, Muller and Rast.
As well, so Gunter could be out.
Yeah, Gunter too. It's blocked Gunter. It's also blocked NATO. And it has blocked the 51 of Muller. So it's, Muller in trouble. Gunther followed then by NATO. Not handy to have the yellow flags come out at that time. So the session could already be blocked going forward. Bohemi, is he improving on Dennis's time? The Envision across the line takes the checkered flag, the first car to do so. Fastest final sector, but 95 thousandths off of Dennis's time, but improves on time, not position. Here's Rast across it, 5th at the moment. Does he get himself into the duels? Yes! Rast goes 4th. Brilliant from Rast. Hughes might keep himself in, but calls the yellow. Muller across the line, he's 7th. It doesn't show us. Muller stays 7th. Gunther goes 3rd. Now Gunther's improved under a yellow flag. Now is that going to get a lap time deletion? It could all change. NATO's done the same. NATO's kicked out Rast and Hughes, but they should get their places back because NATO, Gunther, and definitely that as well of Muller. So Muller, Gunther and NATO should have their lap time cancels. Muller's already backed off. That's why he was 9th. Verline stays 7th. Verline is out. Verline's championship is unravelling here in Rome. He starts 7th, which could be 14th on the grid. Dennis still P1, 138.214. Mortara goes 5th, which means if NATO and Gunther get their lap times deleted, it's Mortara and Hughes going through. Well, that's going to be, I believe, some form of lap time deletions to get that order correct. I can't see why NATO and Gunther will get away with that.
Just before the end and now drop down to 6th.
Well, nightmare for Neon McLaren then. Both drivers out of qualifying. Hughes going off at turn 7. Let's have another look at that incident. So he's really wide on the entry there. Just almost looked like he locked the rear axle coming into there. Has to do a half-spin turn to get that around. And unfortunately, that is what cost him a possibility of making it through into the duels for round 14 of Formula E here in Rome. And of course, we know that Nico Muller's lap was possibly affected by that, and potentially Max Günther as well as Edo Mortara, because they were pretty close at that same point on the circuit. Let's have another look here, Alan.
Yeah, he's just turned in and he was going too quick, so he then just went down the escape road to do a donut.
Let's have a look here at Günther. He had a yellow, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a late
Yellows,
yellow.
yeah.
So without doubt there is a yellow, because you now see the green flag saying track is clear again. But the question is, did he lift and slow down? Because ultimately this sector is a long sector, so they look at the mini sectors, which is a much shorter distance, and checking whether that was the case.
Just saw briefly into the garage of Maserati with James Rossiter. Here is Ian James, Neil McLaren, team principal. Penny for his thoughts at the moment. So disappointing their weekend has been so far. Jake Hughes with that huge crash that he had in Group B qualifying here yesterday, putting him out of contention for the race, wasn't able to take to the start, but recovered in that one to out-qualify his teammate René Rast, 6th and 7th respectively at the end of that session.
And we've got a notice just come up that Rast and Dennis are under investigation for impeding another driver. Whether it's one or each other or a other driver, I don't know.
Well, I don't think that will affect Dennis too much, because his lap was quicker than anybody else's at that point in the session anyway, so he might just get his fastest lap deleted. But either way, at the moment, it's Dennis, Bohemi, Nato and Günther who make it through. The remainder of the drivers going no further here for qualifying for round 14.
So all getting good then. Let's head back down to the pit lane before the start of the next session here for the Rome E-Prix. We might have a little bit of a change. Ticktum and Cassidy Currently up next, Dan Tarazzi.
Thank you very much. Well, from the championship standing standpoint, it's Jake Dennis through to the duels, Pascal Wehrlein out. And, gents, I don't want to speak too early on this one, but Pascal Wehrlein, 4th in championship standings, 31 points behind Nick Cassidy. Is he now out of the championship hunt?
I wouldn't say he's completely out of it, but he really needs to start performing at some point, because as the guy that's probably the furthest off the lead in the championship, you've got to be scoring the big points, you've got to be starting at the front of the race, you've got to have that aggressive, let's say, attitude, and I'm not seeing that from Pascal at the moment.
And just in terms of that, for you, what does he need to do when it comes to the race?
He needs to score points, of course. He needs to go big, and in my opinion, he's been the least consistent out of the 4 championship contenders.
It is really developing and unfolding here, it has to be said. If he's going to roll the dice of destiny, is he going to have to... He's got an awful lot of work to do to potentially get down to that. But let's find out how the team principal thinks of this one. Who's with Saunders now?
So I'm here with Florian at Modlinger. Now, another disappointing qualifying run for Pascal Wehrlein in a very crucial part of the championship. First of all, what do you put the lap down to?
Yeah, a very disappointing result finally. We have to look into it because in the first run he was on a very good lap. Sector 1, Sector 2 was good. He was on the way to P2, P3, but lost 4 tenths in the last sector. This we need to investigate and check what happened there. In the second run, he was not on the level as in the first run, but improved Sector 3. This means we did not bring the lap together, and this we need to check why.
So given what we know about yesterday's racing, what is achievable from today? Is there still hope for this title, or is it going to be very tight now?
You saw yesterday we have a lot of hazard here. It's a very difficult track and a big challenge for the drivers. A lot can happen here, but it will be clearly difficult from our grid positions and will be a tough day.
Well, we know what Pascal's capable of, but there is going to be a challenge. Let's just touch a bit more about what is going to be needed now from the race.
Yeah, we need to go full attack, also maybe higher risk than we normally would do, but we need to progress and try to squeeze out the maximum we can get.
And strategy-wise, attack mode was very different across the grid here. What will be the game plan? What worked yesterday?
There are different scenarios, but I will not tell now what we prepare for, but you will see different scenarios today, I think.
Well, we look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're going to throw out the duels here for round 14 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. And now we've got 4 groups of 2 drivers ready to go out in this session, including this man here, Dan Ticktum, in only his 5th appearance of the duels in 2023. Looking forward to see what he's going to be able to do in that Neo. A brilliant lap right at the end of Group A qualifying. Managed to elevate him up the order, and subsequently he is going to go head-to-head with Nick Cassidy here in this duel as they both exit pit lane and wind themselves up ready for the lap. And the dejected-looking Pascal Wehrlein out of qualifying once again. 2 races this weekend, 2 qualifying sessions. Both times he does not progress forward to the duels.
Yeah, that's clearly the weakness in the overall package, I would say, on that side of the garage. They struggle with this qualifying, and it's getting to the point that everybody else is so consistent. You can't have a weakness.
Well, here are the quarterfinals then. So it's Dan Ticktum versus Nick Cassidy. It's the 2 Jaguars going head-to-head against one another. Mitch Evans versus Sam Bird, Norman Nato and Sebastian Buemi, and then Max Gunter and Jake Dennis will go head-to-head. Only 2 groups of drivers will progress forward into the semi-finals, and then we'll have the final fight for pole thereafter.
Just a little bit of clarity on something we mentioned in the group stages there. Gunter and Muller are being investigated for not slowing down after the yellow flags, but that will be
after the session.
After the session.
Yeah.
Gunter obviously going through and up against Dennis in the final of this.
Dan Ticktum then lining up.
Yeah, after the session then, which I think was going to be the standard procedure to come into it as well. As we get ready, away we go then for the quarterfinals, and we move to our battle screen in preparation for it. So, Ticktum versus Cassidy, and Ticktum's gone out first with Cassidy in 2nd position. That's how it's gone so far, so I just need to get my pen out to write in as well up here in the commentary box. So, Ticktum and then Cassidy. I write differently with this little black pen, I've just noticed as well. It becomes more like a doctor's scribble up here in the commentary box when I'm doing that. But away we go. See, this is why Megan would usually be, if she would, I've given her she wasn't ready to come into the commentary box this early after yesterday. So she's in for the race. But usually at this point, Megan would be here and sort of fill in while I write out those scribbles on the timing sheets. But so far, this is the warm-up lap. Then usually the second cars get released when the others are on their fast laps, so that it's just a constant stream of go, go, go. And it's a lot easier to keep up. Hi. Yes, it is way too early, isn't it? I don't know, you might be watching, so hello. It is way too early as they come through. So the session continuing on. Once again, they'll have the opportunity to have the run. Tictum will lift off and attack on his power laps. So Gunther and Muller not slowing down to yellow flags will be investigated after the session. Evans and Bird may now enter the fast lane. You can see that just below the investigations that you've seen on the timing tower. Now, just to explain how this is going to work, if you're new, above us, you'll see the sector times for each of the drivers. This is our dual screen, which is a lot easier to commentate on for these types of sessions, believe me. It's a lot easier and a lot more, not complicated, but it's a lot nicer to have the run through as well. So, the lap attacks will commence, and away we go. Tictum versus Cassidy. They've held Tictum's image first of all through turn 3. Tictum's looking much faster, actually. 30 thousandths of a second faster as they head down towards the back half of the circuit to turn 4. Now, Tictum's farther ahead, so I can tell you that Tictum's first sector was a 24.495. Cassidy's is up. It's a 24.341. So at the moment, Cassidy is up by 0.4 of a second. You can see it on your timing screens at the top there. Tictum's second sector, 32.373. Cassidy's is coming through shortly. Is he going to be faster or not? It is a 32.078. So Cassidy's got 0.4 over Dan Tictum, which I think was what we were all expecting to happen anyway. But you're seeing the delta times above you on the timing graphics. That's the information displayed by race control. Cassidy fastest through the chicane now. Tictum's dropped off so much. Third sector will be the lap time, and that will be when the checkered flag will come out. You'll get told the overall lap time. There we go. Tictum is a 1:38.720. Cassidy is up. Surely he'll go faster. The computer's predicting him. Look at that, a second ahead already. Cassidy into the last two corners. He'll approach the line, and the first run puts Cassidy on top as a 1:37.536. So once again, like yesterday, everyone who goes out second has faster lap times across the board. Next up's coming up then, it's Evans versus Bird. Like yesterday in the final, it is the duels together for the two Jags.
Nick Cassidy, he really started to gain it when he got into the second and third sector, and that's where he pulled away from Tictum. Tictum, in all honesty, if he had got through, it would have been not a miracle, but pretty close to, I know we're close to the Vatican City here, but you'd have been definitely having to pray for him.
Well, if you're James Barkley, I would be chewing your fingernails right now. Two of your Jaguar racing drivers, Mitch Evans and Sam Bird, going head-to-head against one another. You can see there that Mitch Evans has come out on top 3-0 to the British driver. Only one of them can make it through into this one.
Yeah, very much so, but there's only one of them as well that's in championship contention. And so I think there is a clear understanding that Evans is without doubt the favourite in the Jaguar camp for this title attack.
Yeah, I was just about to say they're probably going to deploy some team tactics. We saw that in the battle for pole position. It was the two Jaguars going head-to-head against one another yesterday. Bird backed off on his flying lap, gave the advantage there to Mitch Evans, which of course gave him, crucially, the clean side of the grip and a bit of a snap of oversteer into T1 there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of, I'd say, instability in the rear.
Yeah, it's looking okay. Evans on the delta time again, faster. Oh, wrong screen. Press 2 instead of 7. Bird's actually not too far behind, 26,000 in the first sector time. So Evans, his delta puts it at a 24.321. And Bird coming through now. Is he fast? Now it's crucial here that Bird doesn't go through because Evans is in the title hunt. He needs to go through and get as much points as possible. Yes, he'll start inside the top 8, but this is crucial where we've got the rest of the runners going through later. Second sector, Evans 32.326. Bird's at 24.285. Bird's getting faster. So once again, they're still too tight to call. Through the chicane. Oh, Evans was taking so much curb. Bird's just gone through the chicane. Looks to be good. They're actually closing out together. They're not that far behind as what the TV pictures would have us believe with slight delays. There's 4 thousandths of a difference between them. Bird ahead of Evans. 4 thousandths. This is insanity between the two Jaguars. Evans needs to go through. He's going to be risking it. But Bird went second. Bird would have the faster time. Evans across it. Evans is ahead. Bird, I think, has backed off in that last sector. I think Bird has deliberately backed off here to give his championship rival and the teammate an advantage. Bird across the line. He lifted. He lifted. He lifted.
Came to the massively line, there.
Yep.
What was that?
He was 6/10 slower over the final sector, so Sam Bird clearly making sure that his teammate went through.
Well, hang on, that's race fixing. That's a manipulation of the results. That's, yeah, Sam Bird deliberately lifting to let his teammate Mitch Evans through. That's not a win in my book. Bird had that. Bird was faster than Evans. That is Evans going through for championship rivals. I don't like that. I never did, but that's manipulation of the events.
You see there, actually, from Evans' point, but the car actually doesn't. Some of them, the rear is really jumping. So this is now Sam Bird, just as he comes into the final sector. He's got a left, right, and left to go.
And he's going to back off here, so let's have a listen to it coming through the final couple of corners.
This is the last corner. And
yeah,
there's the line on the right-hand side, so 50 metres before the line, lift and coast. Bit of energy saving for the race.
Yeah, just getting his tactics right. Well, quarter-final 3, they're coming thick and fast here this morning. Norman Nato in the Nissan versus Sebastian Buemi in the Envision Racing Machine. So
and Nato's straight out there as well. Nato's gone straight on for the timings. So they're back on it again. Nato on the top with Buemi gone out second. So this should be Buemi fastest, in my opinion. Next up, we've got Gunther versus Dennis, but it's going to be Cassidy versus Evans. The two championship rivals are going to go head-to-head in the first semi-final, which is going to be very interesting with 3 races to go. Buemi and Nato are separated by 2 thousandths of a second in the first sector point. Buemi's moved ahead by a 10th. Buemi second out. Buemi getting the better of the track improvement. It seems in the duels, if you want to be quick, you go out second. So I expect Dennis to go through. We've got a very interesting title lineup here. Oh no! Buemi's in the wall! Buemi's in the wall! Sebastian Buemi has locked up at turn 7 and has gone straight into the wall. He's reversed it and got going, but Buemi has thrown it away, and Norman Nato will go through automatically into the next part of qualifying. So Nato goes through, and Buemi's mistake proves what I said is literally nonsense. Oh no! That is harsh.
But it certainly doesn't help Nick Cassidy as much as they were hoping.
Just check the front wing, I don't want to lose it under the car in case it's damaged.
Yeah, they don't want to miss anything, do
He's
they?
talking there, he doesn't want to lose under the car because there's limited spare parts after the carnage of yesterday. And so at that point of view, he's immediately thinking, which is sharp from Sebastian Buemi.
Yep. Nato was a 1:38.613. Buemi's got to finish the time, otherwise he'll lose the delta point. So Buemi will finish the lap, but it will be a slow one. It's a 1:51.464 for Buemi, and your heart drops a little bit there.
take the checkered flag, and he eventually finished nearly 13 seconds adrift following that crash on his flyer. And it is going to be Norman Nato that progresses through in the Nissan. Good job for Nato. Nice tidy lap for him with a 1:38.6. Certainly not the quickest that we've seen so far this year, but let's have another look at the Buemi incident here, Alan.
Yeah, this is, well, I think Sebastian maybe wants to listen to Oliver here in the jump, but he comes up and he's just at the change of tarmac, locks up the rear, gets a bit of oversteer, and he's going in so quick that it's difficult for him to get out and go down the escape road. And he was too committed to go to the escape road, but ultimately that was it, just nosed it into the barrier.
Well, quarter-final 4 then, it's a head-to-head between Max Günther for Maserati and Jake Dennis for Avalanche Andretti. You can see they've gone head-to-head a few times this season, 2 in the favour of Günther and 1 in the favour of Jake Dennis. These two were very close in terms of race results here yesterday. Günther with a third-place finish, Jake Dennis finishing in 4th. So let's see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, this is our last one then on the board with the quarterfinals. Then we'll go into a break for the semi-finals, another 7 minutes. Then we'll go again for about a 10-minute break before we go into the final, which will wrap up this qualifying segment. And away we go once more then. Günther's on a lap, Dennis 2. Now, what's the difference between them? Günther's first sector time will be coming up shortly. That's the one we need to keep an eye on. And it is now with a 24 point... I can't tell on the Delta time, 24 seconds somewhere on it, but the timing screens have gone wrong again up here in the commentary box to give us a picture. 24.453 for Günther. Dennis a 24.546. Delta times are improving massively. That's what we wanted to see. That's what we wanted to know. Just to have that advantage point, to feel the data coming through. Second sector, Günther is 20... No, second sector, Gunther's a 32.491. Dennis 32.175. Gunther's down. So Dennis, as we predicted, is going to fly through here in the qualifying session. Perfect as well for Jake Dennis. Lost the championship lead yesterday to Nick Cassidy, needs to take it back. It's effectively a three-way title fight, isn't it, between Cassidy, Evans and Dennis. And they are all so far through. Cassidy got through, Evans got through. Dennis needs to win this one to go through. Here after fast, Norman Nato across it. Günther is a 1:38.655. Dennis, computer putting him up by half a second, does go that. Dennis through with a 1:38.179. A cracking effort then here for the middle part. So it's Cassidy versus Evans in semi-final 1. Nato versus Dennis in semi-final 2. And that's going to be a very interesting run around when we get round to it. Dennis.
Mega effort, mate. Well done. We're through. Just under 5/10 to max there. Mega effort.
Tom?
Yeah, really strong there from Jake Dennis. Pressure on him. Exactly putting the performance in that he needed to do when it mattered. And he makes his way forwards into the semi-finals. Have a look at some super slow-mos as he rides his way over this bumpy Rome circuit. Car looking actually pretty compliant in going through there compared to some of the others that we've seen, but just look at how bumpy it is under that pressure down on the run.
Yeah, just there you see it.
So these are the drivers that make it through then. Cassidy, Evans, Nato and Dennis are going to go head-to-head against one another. There will only be 2 drivers that progress forwards from the semis into the final as we get ready to see who is going to take pole position. Will it be 2 in a row for Mitch Evans here this morning ahead of round 14, or will we see a new driver taking to the top of the table?
Okay, let's head down to the pit lane then with 4 minutes to go until the semi-finals. Let's catch up with the latest from pit road.
Seen the stats of each of these guys, lots of podiums every year, and that's what you need to build up a championship fight. You need to be consistent, you need to be there under pressure. And you can see these guys, that's why they are where they are in the championship. They can deal with that pressure in the heated moments like here in Rome.
How important will qualification be here?
Certainly.
I'll just use your
it's
microphone for a second. I think you heard the question there, mate.
Yeah, qualifying is extremely important here. As we saw yesterday, it is difficult to pass. And yeah, I have to say I'm impressed with those top 3 in the championship standings right now. They're doing what they have to do when the pressure is on in this moment.
At this point, what is it like when you are in a semi-final and you have a performance which is ultimately could go somewhere in determining the race outcome?
I think most of them are happy to be in the semis now. I think that's pretty much a good baseline for all of them. So, you know, everything on top of that now is a bonus. We've seen you don't really want to lead these races either. So I think they're pretty much happy where they are now and already looking almost towards the race.
If we're going to go out and call it here, is Mitch going to do it again?
I think the odds are with him. He has a magic around this place, as we said before, and just so much momentum. He has a very good understanding of what to do, and he has the support from Sam Bird now starting up there.
With that in mind, we can head back to our commentary now of Tom Brooks and Alan McNish.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, chaps. Looking forward to getting the semi-finals underway. It'll be Mitch Evans versus Nick Cassidy, first out on track just a couple of minutes ago. The momentum, as Oliver was saying just a few moments ago, very much in favour of Mitch Evans, fresh off the back of the perfect round 13 of the championship for him with that pole position, fastest lap and the race victory. Nick Cassidy, though, certainly don't count him out. As I said many times, it only takes just one small error, and that can really count it against you. Great to see the fans making their way here in the scorching temperatures, though, Alan. Finding some shade is the order of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Umbrellas up, not for the rain, but for the scorchio of sunshine that's hitting us at the moment. Air temperature is 33 degrees already, 50 degrees for track temperature there, Tom.
Well, before we get the semi-final duels underway, let's head down to Saunders. Or will in a few moments' time, but you can see there it's Evans versus Nick Cassidy, Norman Nato and Jake Dennis going head-to-head against one another for these semi-finals. And then, of course, we've got 2 drivers going for pole position here for round 14. Let's head down, though, to Saunders, Shelby, before we get this one underway and see who he's found in the paddock.
Yes, I'm here with Sam Bird, Jaguar TCS Racing. Now, before this weekend, we'd had to wait, I think, 5 or 6 races to see both of you guys in the duels, and you've done it back-to-back here.
Yeah, we have. Jaguar have given us a really good car this weekend. Obviously, I was up against the King of Rome, and somebody that is obviously fighting for the championship. So, team orders took place, which is absolutely fine. He's fighting for the championship, but I had an important role to play, which was to get him through to the semis, and that was achieved.
Thanks very much, Sam.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, Sam Bird there, playing the team game. You can tell a little bit by the body language, he's understandably a little bit frustrated with that, and no surprise at all. There's
I think he's frustrated generally at the moment. I don't think it's necessary. He understands that, and that's part of the game. That's what you sign up for. But I think he's just generally frustrated that, without doubt, Sam has got the potential for a lot more than actually he has received for many different reasons over the course of this year. And that's the simple fact. It's a build-up and accumulation of, I would say, disappointment through the year.
Yeah, he'll be hoping to just be able to have a strong race, and of course there's a lot of rumours flying around that we could possibly have a new lineup at Jaguar next year. Mitch Evans possibly being joined by the man who he's duelling with here in the semi-finals of Nick Cassidy, and all New Zealand lineup is what is floating around the paddock here in Rome. Whether that occurs remains to be seen, but it means, of course, that Sam Bird is going to be in the shop window for a number of other outfits for season 10 of Formula E. Just having a look, actually, between Cassidy and Evans. Amazingly, this is their first meeting together in the duels.
Yeah, and we'll find out what happens. You know, they're very, very close in terms of, I would say, their ultimate performance by what we've seen. However, without doubt, Evans, I think, has got the capability just have a feeling to extract a little bit more out, especially in that final sector, as we look at semi-final 1. Both of them running effectively the same powertrain, but with very different ways of working it as well.
Yeah, Cassidy's not actually got as far in the duels at all this year. The last time he was in the semi-finals was in 2022, at London last year. So long time since he's been this far up the order in quali.
Yeah, but it's important for his championship, he does, because he's got to make sure that he gets as many points as possible. And you can't always rely on your ability to fight your way back through the field. There's one day that won't work, but he's put himself in a much better position. And he said to me just before the show, actually, that he was feeling yesterday he had the car and the capability to qualify really well, but he just didn't quite put it together in the first run, and then there was the yellow flags in the second run.
Well, here we go then. Just want to say hi to Omi, who's watching on the YouTube channel, and everyone watching on Everywhere Live. So, semi-finals. Let's see what we're going to get from this mess to come in now. Yesterday, it was Fenestrals and Bird, Boemi and Evans. Today, Cassidy Evans, Nato and Dennis. So only Evans has made it this far. And yesterday, of course, he took pole position. Can he go the whole way and take it? But in this one, he's having to face the championship leader of Nick Cassidy. This is a big one for the championship. Every point counts with 3 races to go and doubles around everywhere. Cassidy on a charge now too as he heads down the back straightaway. Evans looking good. First sector time for Evans is a 24.334. Cassidy coming into that first sector time now. Oh, he's 29 thousandths of a second ahead. 24.305. They're practically matching. Every point counts. Every nanosecond counts out here on the track. And it really is being proved. Cassidy into turn 7 on the braking zone, turns it in, gets it stuck nicely. Evans is way ahead in the distance. Evans has dropped 3 tenths. Evans 32.468. Cassidy 32.324. Where has Evans dropped that much time? It looks like our race winner yesterday and pole sitter yesterday is going to get defeated by the man who finished in 2nd place in yesterday's longest ever Formula E race. And the current championship leader. This is the big one. Out of the last corner. What can Evans do as a benchmarker? It's a 1:38.322. Is he faster? Cassidy looks like he's quicker though. Fastest sector 1, fastest sector 2. Out of the last 2 corners, Nick Cassidy goes through to the final. 1:38.056. Evans is defeated in Rome. And it's Cassidy going through to the final. Will he face Dennis or will he face Nato? Wow! Cassidy goes through.
Good job by Cassidy. Radio.
Yes, very good.
Oh, we are.
Very good.
Am I in?
You're through.
Really?
Through. Final.
Oh, man. No. Wow.
Bird feels like he's just done that for nothing now. He had to give up his own fastest lap time to allow him through, and it just wasn't needed. It wasn't necessary, and it has cost him, and you can feel it hurting as well. You can physically feel the amount of pain they're going through at Jaguar. They will start at least 3rd or 4th on the grid. So it's row 2. So it's not all over for Evans. It's row 2, 3rd or 4th on the grid. Semi-final 2 though, Nato versus Dennis. That's how we're going to line up in this one. So effectively this could be 3rd or 4th, depending on which one sets the fastest time. So I'm expecting Dennis to go through here, and it's going to be Cassidy versus Dennis in the final. How much of a subliminal mind-altering occurrence is that going to be as Nato starts his delta time? Into turn 3, late on the brakes. Dennis is going to follow him shortly as well. Our timing screens are massively behind as Dennis starts his time. Honestly, never known a qualifying this strange and chaotic. Nobody can actually predict what's happening next. Nato, 24.435. That's his first delta time. Dennis is coming through now. And then look at that, they're so close again. It's a 24.405. So Dennis only ahead by 30 thousandths of a second. It's really not that long. Really is quite close between them as they turn in once more. Dennis is now ahead by 1/10 of a second. Second sector time for Nato is a 32 38.250. Dennis is coming up to that delta time after turn 12 and 13. He's through it now, and Dennis does a 32.108. Down out of turn 14. The long sweep at 15 at the hairpin. NATO using all the inside line. Dennis is ahead by only a 10th and a half. It's enough, but NATO could have a great last sector. They've got to find the time. NATO's on the attack into the last corners. Through 16, 17, 18 and 19, the last corner. And the delta time puts him, NATO, with a 1:38.203. But look at that. Dennis is only 42 thousandths of a second faster. This is going to be a very close way to the final. Who faces Cassidy in the final? It's Dennis. 1:38.087. Final, Cassidy versus Dennis in around about 5 minutes' time. Fantastic session. Well done.
Going head-to-head against one another in qualifying, but of course here, Alan, there's 3 points up for grabs, and there's a 5-point difference in the title standings too.
Oh boy.
Absolutely, just to make it even more spicy, they both did identical times, 38.05 for Cassidy, 38.08, 300ths of a second between them. And so it is going to be one heck of a final. But I've got to say, Norman Nato did a very good job there.
Let's have a look here at Jake Dennis. You can see he was really looking confident in that lap. Nice, smooth inputs on that car, not overdriving it, not pushing it beyond its limits. He seems to get that Avalanche Andretti really, really hooked up when it comes to qualifying. Well, there we go then. The semi-finals are concluded. It is Nick Cassidy and Jake Dennis who will go head-to-head against one another in the battle for pole position ahead of round 14 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. The top two drivers in the title battle, 3 points on offer, 5 points separating them in the standings. This is going to be crucial for their weekends here so far. As we get ready then for qualifying for the finals, let's head down to Radzi.
Well, thank you. 3 of the top 4 in the championship made the semi-finals. The top 2 of the championship standings have made the final. This is going to be an absolute corker.
It really is, and I think this is where the mental games come into it. I think both of them are happy to be on the front row. I think in terms of the race scenario, there's nothing more they need to do. It's probably a disadvantage to be on pole, but I think the mind game is going to play a role now. I think the one that can get the upper hand here really has a clear statement. It's going to one-up the other.
Can we talk about that first semi-final, Evans versus Cassidy? It turns out Mitch Evans is human. And what has Cassie done over the course of the last 24 hours?
Clearly, he's done his homework last night. As mentioned earlier, he has that data from the Jaguar-powered car of Mitch Evans. So, yeah, fantastic job by these two. I think they're some of the best under pressure, so it was very cool to see them go up against each other and potentially teammates next year as well.
And to see him do what he did, by the way, to not even make the duels yesterday, he's managed to turn that around today. With that in mind, let's head over to Saunders for some more.
Yes, so here with Mitch Evans here. Now, you've had a good qualifying all weekend. Not as good as yesterday today, but still starting the race from a very good position.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good. Honestly, I've lost some pace compared to FP. Don't know why. Something to look into. Just through the lap seemed a lot harder all of a sudden. So, yeah, obviously full credit to Nick. He was super consistent throughout qualifying and was quicker. But yeah, just a bit weird. All of a sudden, it just felt a lot harder to drive and a lot trickier to put the lap together. But is what it is. Still, I think I'll be 4th. Still a good position to start from, and we go from there.
Well, as we learned yesterday, there's plenty to gain still from that position and even further back. So what's that going to look like to try and achieve that?
Yeah, obviously we have a lap less today, so that changes the strategy a little bit. I think we still need to find some pace if I want to have a good crack at the win today. As I said, I feel like I've lost a little bit, so just, yeah, we need to work out what those changes will be, and hopefully we can make it faster.
Thanks, Mitch.
Cheers.
Well, the drivers then lined up and ready to go ahead of the finals. Jake Dennis versus Nick Cassidy. Well, this is going to be hugely exciting then. So we've had 4 groups of 2 drivers, whittled down to 2 groups of 2 drivers. Now it's 1 group of two drivers, and it is the two title protagonists. Cassidy leads the standings by 5 points over Jake Dennis, but there are 3 points up for grabs here in this final. And you can see just how fast this Rome circuit is, Alan.
Yeah, coming up through turn 6 into 7, very, very quick. Car dancing around underneath them, even on the straight, sort of straightish sections, they're working at the wheel. So from a driver's point of view, as Mitch Evans was saying, that it's difficult to put the lap together.
Well, the Jules final is number 1 and 2 in the championship standings. 24 hours ago, Jake Dennis led Nick Cassidy by 1 point. 24 hours on, Nick Cassidy leads Jake Dennis by 5 points. And Ollie, off air, you made a really good point.
Yes, and like Tom said, this could come down to the end of the championship by just a couple of points. This could prove to be one of the most important final qualifying appearances by these two drivers, the two championship protagonists.
And with that said, does that mean it's therefore more important for Jake Dennis possibly than Nick Cassidy, who's already got those 5 points?
Yeah, I think, of course, every point you can get here is naturally very important, but I think the bigger point here, is, as I said before, is the mental game. I think if you can one-up your rival in the championship, this is where it comes down to. You've got to stay cool, and everything you can do to put your rival under pressure, it just adds up and builds up. And in the race, obviously, if you can have the upper hand, then it all helps.
There's also the team championships as well to think about. These guys, in terms of Andretti and Envision, they are number 2 and 3 in the Drivers' Championship. And we're seeing here, Ollie, a brilliant lap from Jake Dennis.
Yeah, brilliant lap by Jake. You know, he's a smooth operator, performs very well under pressure, and I have to mention a very good job by Norman Naito. You can only imagine what his teammate might have been able to do, Sasha Fenestraz, without that issue earlier on in qualifying.
And that's the nature of the Jules, that we do love the fact that it comes down to fine margins. Could it come down to 1,000th of a second that we have seen before? It's time for the Jules final, so we can hand back to our commentary team of Tom Brooks and Alan McNish.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, lads. This is going to be exciting, possibly the most important duel in the history of this format for qualifying. The two title protagonists, Nick Cassidy and Jake Dennis, going head-to-head in the final, round 14, the penultimate weekend of the championship. And this is going to be hugely important. Nick Cassidy has a 5-point advantage over Jake Dennis coming into this round. There are 3 points on offer, though, for pole position. So Jake Dennis needs to do everything he can to secure pole.
Yep, the points, and it's going to come down to these individual points for qualifying, for fastest lap, etc. I think that will make the differentiation between who wins and does not win this World Championship. And so it could be a very important qualifying run for both of these. For the grid, for the race itself, yeah, it's not so much. It is all about those actual single points that you're talking about.
Well, here we are then, confirmation. Jake Dennis versus Nick Cassidy. In the predictor, you think that 65% of you think that Nick Cassidy is going to be the driver who takes his first pole position of the 2023 Formula E season.
But I will just remind you, he has been on pole position here before in Rome. Unfortunately, it wasn't the result that he wanted at the end of the race, but he has had a pole position. And so really right now, you've got someone that's definitely got the capability to do it in Nick Cassidy, without question, we know that. But on the other side, you've got Mr. Consistency when it comes to Jake Dennis. It is separated by thousands, there's no question, in my opinion. It is going to be down to the detail.
Here we go. This is going to be very interesting. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen here. The two championship protagonists battling it out. Dennis versus Cassidy. This is the warm-up laps we're just seeing at the moment in time. Now, yesterday, Bird v Evans. Evans went out. We now know that Bird must have lifted off like he did today. So, looking ahead to today, Cassidy versus Dennis. This is going to be such an important session. Dennis has gone out first, so my prediction, Cassidy is going to be better. Track temperature 52 degrees, air temperature 33 degrees, humidity 48%, 1 km/h wind speed, probability of rain at 35%. But that track temperature later on is going to be over 60. The air temperature could also be over 48. The unusual temperatures we are having here in Rome, the hottest, some of the hottest days we could ever have. It's absolutely insane. Hello, that's a mini XLR to a large XLR adapter. I want one of those because then we can have ear mics instead, you know, over the ear hook mics. Instead of having to wear the headsets all the time. Change a little bit. Right, Away we go then for the final, and Dennis has already made one mistake. He's oversteered coming through turn 1 and 2. Dennis is going to lose a lot of time for that small mistake already. The car was oversteering the back. Cassidy hasn't made that error. He's right on it. Now that could be a little bit of a mistake by Dennis. First sector time coming up for Jake. What is it? It's a 24.406. Now what is Cassidy going to do? At the moment, through the first mini sectors, he's down by 44 thousandths. But in the first sector, is he quicker or not? Oh, it's so close! 24.479! It's literally a tenth the difference at the moment. It's less than that, 79 thousandths, even 74. It's so insane between them. Dennis is ahead. Cassidy's losing a bit of time. Dennis through the second sector, 32.135. Now, what about Cassidy? Entering into turn 11 through the control line. Cassidy's second sector is 32.342. So he's 2.8 off the pace at the moment. So this could be Dennis for pole position with Cassidy second. Either way, the championship protagonists 1 and 2 will be 1-2 on the grid. This is the most crucial duel we've ever seen. It could determine the World Championship. 5 points between them in the standings. 3 points for pole position. Whoever will be, Dennis needs pole. The picture goes, and Dennis has it. 1:37.986. But what about Cassidy? Fastest time so far. Can Cassidy take it? 5 becomes 2. Cassidy second. 1:38.057. It is Jake Dennis who has pole position for the Romy Prix. The 3 championship protagonists line up. Dennis first, Cassidy second, and fourth on the grid will come Mitch Evans. Wow, do they line up 1, 2, 3? That's what we need to wait for. Let's hear from him. Nato might have gone slower. Nato might have gone slower the lap time. Being told Nato, I lost it.
You might have heard in the background of the garage there. Clearly, emotions running very high.
Yeah, you see there, Sylvain Philippe there, slightly disappointed, not necessarily because it's second on the grid, but because
the championship leads.
The gap closed up, but it was so close between them. It was hundredths of a second in the semis between their best lap times that put them into the finals, and then it was less than a tenth of a second in the final itself. But Jake Dennis, without doubt, deserves the 3 points on this occasion. Very, very good delivery by him and the team. 2 points the margin now as they go into the race itself.
Well, it's the second pole of 2023, and it was right when it mattered. It came right when he needed it to. 3 points, he reduces that deficit to Nick Cassidy at the top of the order, down to just 2 points. What a phenomenal lap for Jake Dennis, as you can see him riding the bumps here in this Avalanche Andretti. And that car really did look strong and composed, as did they both over the course of that. It would be really difficult to tell it from the naked eye between the two there, but Nick Cassidy did a great job, especially in that final sector, because he was nearly 0.3 of a second adrift at one point and really closed that deficit down in the last couple of corners.
Yeah, he certainly did. It wasn't quite enough at the end of it all, but Jake Dennis has delivered all the way through. Mr. Consistency is consistent again. Second pole position, he said, that's 6 points over the season. And those are the important ones that you just brings you right into the title fight.
Yeah, and he's trying to get as many bonus points as you can over the course of the season for Jake Dennis. And he had 6 bonus points going into this one. And that means he moves up to 9 points in total that he has secured bonus.
Yeah, here's the standings. Nick Cassidy will be on 171. Dennis on 169. Mitch Evans on 151, Pascal Verlaine 140. Verlaine's sort of out of it. It's a 3-way fight, Cassidy, Dennis and Evans. And we're checking where Evans is starting on the grid, whether he starts 3rd or 4th, depending on whether he was quicker than NATO's time. That's the thing we're checking. So it could be championship protagonists 1, 2, 3 in Rome into turn 1. That's never gone wrong before, has it? No, I can never remember any time a championship protagonist started 1-3 on the grid and things went wrong. London calling anybody? Season 2? So, this is looking insane. Absolute insanity. when the race gets underway in a couple of hours' time. 11 o'clock coming up. We're on here at 1:45. Race underway at 2. So 3-hour break until, going to go chill, enjoy my Sunday. Couple of episodes of House, write my notes up. All do well. And Dennis flying everywhere. He was good, wasn't he? It was a bad start, but a good run.
He accelerated over the line. He's a very late apex, got maximum speed here, and there's a little jump there, and look at the oversteer coming in. He just kicks it, brings it back into line, loses maybe a fraction of a second, but ultimately shows how much on the limit Jake Dennis was from the start of the lap to the end of the lap to deliver a 1:37.986 pole position lap.
Well, the heat is on here in Rome, and the heat was certainly on Jake Dennis at the end of that session. But Dennis did deliver. What an absolutely fantastic performance. What a great qualifying session. The dual format really does work incredibly well in Formula E, and it set us up as an absolute treat for the race here this afternoon. We're going to be hearing, though, down from our pole sitter, Jake Dennis. He is with Saunders.
So I'm here with the man on pole, Jake Dennis. What a flying lap that was, and also now narrowed that gap at the top of the championship to just a few points.
Yeah, I know those 3 points are crucial. Yeah, I really needed that against Nick today. You know, obviously Nick, Mitch and myself were there obviously in the top 3, so it was super tight between all of us. But what a turnaround after yesterday. Like, we really brought the game to Jag today. They definitely had the advantage after yesterday, and we've sort of changed the car overnight, tried something, and it seems to have worked. So yeah, bring on the race, and yeah, looking forward to racing against a bunch of Jags. So it's going to be good fun.
Not to jinx it, but history very much in your favour here, because every time you've started from this position, the lowest you finish is second.
I mean, yeah, but if Nick wins, then it's no good. So I need to win the race today, and I'm feeling confident we can do that. The car's feeling strong, and yeah, we're ready to make amends after yesterday's mistake.
Congratulations again. And now to present the Julius Baer pole position trophy, we have Sabina and Chiara from Sapienza Fast Charge Formula Student Team.
Trophies presented then. Here's how they line up on the grid for the 24-lap Rome E-Prix we will have later on. It's been reduced by 1 lap. Yesterday it was 25, today it's 24. Don't know why as of yet, but that is the situation we've seen. So it is Jake Dennis on pole position. Nick Cassidy will be second. Norman Nato third. Mitch Evans is fourth. Sam Bird fifth. So Nato does start third. He was ahead as well. Bird fifth. Gunther sixth. Tictum seventh. Boemi eighth. Mortara ninth. And DaCosta rounds out the top 10. Hughes is 11th with Vernon 12th. Rast is 13th. Degrassi 14th. Verline 15th. Sete Camera is in 16th, 17th for Lotterer, 18th for Van Dorn, 19th Muller, 20th Freins, 21st Merrion, 22nd for Sasha Fenestraz. That's the running order we've got right now on the grid as well. We'll be back later on today for all of the action from the Rome E-Prix. You can join us on Twitch and JB Motorsports 2 live at 1:45 British summer time. You can then join us for the complete upload of the race. Once again, that'll be on JB Motorsports YouTube channel and on Twitch throughout the day. You can get ready to join us as well for live IndyCar coverage as well. That is going to be the Grand Prix of Toronto later on, myself and Megan in the box. You can also join us live for that, fingers crossed, on JB Motorsports if we get our live streams back. If not, we'll be on JB Motorsports too. So stay tuned to Twitter at JB Motorsports YT for all the latest information and links to our upcoming videos. So, championship protagonists 1, 2 and 4 on the grid. First 2 rows, very interesting. Dennis on pole ahead of Cassidy. We'll see you later for the Rome E-Prix. Bye-bye.